Woo! Okay, gamers only won because of Russia. What? What? Wait, what? Wait, no. How is Russia to blame for Dragon Age the Veilguard? Excuse me? What? Those damn Russians. Chad, low-key, do you want to know something sad but kind of funny? You can't even blame Russians because Veilguard costs 70 American dollars, and that's way too much money for the average person. It is fucked. Okay, let's watch it. What is this about?
Hope you guys have had a wonderful week. So as you know, regarding Dragon Age the Veilguard, there has been so much cope from various corpos and their journalist buddies regarding this game, and their failed attempts to hype it up, as well as the shills who constantly try and defend this game and downplay the reasons why it failed and that it did fail. And now EA has made a statement about Veilguard, which is just continuing the immense cope fest. Check it out. EA claims Dragon Age the Veilguard failed due to lack of live service elements.
The single-player game failed due to lack of service elements. If that's not a cope, I don't know what is.
Oh yeah, that's why Veilguard failed, because it wasn't live service. You know, these people will do anything except admit that the writing was trash, the characters were dull, even characters that were once beloved got dulled down, and of course that there were various modern audience DEI elements in the game, but yeah, they'll never admit that stuff. We'll take a look at this hilariously out-of-touch cope statement from EA. But first, hopping over to a post about this news on the Dragon Age the Veilguard subreddit, a hilarious top comment that reads, "Such ignorant hubris. Review bombing is why this underperformed." Yeah.
No! What are we talking about? The reviews were stellar initially. They had good reviews. Now it's mixed. Now, like months later. What are we talking about? This is disingenuous. This is false.
Like I said a moment ago, these shills never admit the real reasons why this game failed. Now they're trying to blame the underperformance on review bombing. This is obviously not true, and as a matter of fact, when Veilguard released, I distinctively remember that it was floating around like 70%, like immediately after release, and then it trended all the way up to around 80%, and for a number of months, it was at like an 80% review score over on Steam. Hope you guys...
Oh shit, sorry, I tapped it by accident. Sorry.
Like an 80% review score over on Steam. And then the next number of months began to trend down back to 70%, and now it's below 70%. But
I remember when people would post saying, like, where's the chuds now? They have 80% reviews out of 100%. That means it's a good game. Chuds owned. I remember that. I do.
To say this game got review bombed is just overtly false information. And as we've discussed so many times, anyone can go through the reviews over on Steam and see that there's so much detail
Holy essaying! This is how you know it's gonna be good. 118 hours and they wrote like 10 paragraphs. Chat. I think that people who write 5 to 10 paragraphs and have hours upon hours on a video game, I take those way more seriously than any game journalist. That's a mental illness. But it's a real mental illness. They're passionate. They need to, like, express themselves. I will actually take this more seriously than any game journalist ever. They'll give them a 10 out of 10. This is in-depth reviewing.
People didn't like this game. Like, people literally wrote mini essays about what they disliked about this game to go along with their negative reviews. And you can also see their hours played. So yeah, no, this game didn't underperform because it was review bombed. People just didn't like this game. Also got a ton of refunds, and a lot of people didn't buy it. And I know we've talked a lot about this game already, but there's continually more news coming out about it. And the like immense cope fest that also continues, I find very amusing and also interesting. I really don't understand why these modern audience types just can't see reality and like face the facts, like why they got to be in such denial. And of course, hopping back over to the news itself regarding EA, let's check out this nonsense in their statement. So, Twisted Voxel writes,
Where's
EA
the Russian
CEO
bots
claims
thing?
Dragon Age the Veilguard failed due to lack of live service elements. During Electronic Arts' Q3 2025 earnings conference call, CEO Andrew Wilson expressed disappointment with the company's financial performance during...
But this tracks, though, with EA and their track record for shoving everything full of live services and microtransactions. Yeah, this tracks. I don't know what people expected from EA. No, we underperformed because we didn't exploit people, man.
In the quarter. He brought up the lower than expected performance of EA Sports FC franchise as one of the reasons. He also mentioned that Dragon Age: The Veilguard launched successfully and received strong reviews from both critics and players. Yeah, so immediately contradicting that top comment that was like, this got review bombed. It sure is interesting that for a group of people that so ardently defend this game, they really know nothing about it. But anyways, he continues to go over information that we've already discussed. For example, how Veilguard fell short by about 50% of EA's expectations. And then they write this. Regarding Veilguard's inability to reach a wider audience, Wilson said that games must align with the changing expectations of players who prioritize shared world features and deeper engagement alongside compelling narratives.
Deeper engagement alongside compelling narratives. Yeah, when you have an entire quest line dedicated to a character that's coming out of the closet to their parents or to their parent, I don't know, maybe make it more compelling? I don't know. I feel like not a lot of people can relate to that kind of thing. Like, yes, there are people that can relate, but not everyone does. I bought a single-player game and expect a single-player game. No, you need to have a battle pass attached to it, otherwise it doesn't make them enough money.
In other words, he expected the game to have been more successful if it had featured live service elements. Ironically, Dragon Age: The Veilguard originally started off as a live service game, as revealed by the game's co-directors Corinne Bush and John Epler. Ultimately, however, they pivoted to a single-player experience. Bush said that she felt very supported through this decision by BioWare and EA. According to her, it's intimidating to buck the trends in an era where it feels like almost every game must be open world. She added that for BioWare, the way in which it tells the best stories and stays true to its roots is through a more
yes, here it is! True to its roots! Let's go back to the roots! What was that freaking phrase that they kept putting into the reviews? Yeah, the going back to, return to form. That was it. Yes, return to form. Thank you.
Crafted an intimate experience. Yes! This is very ironic, of course, because they did anything but that in Veilguard, which is a huge reason why so many fans of the older Dragon Age games absolutely despise Veilguard. Wilson now seems to believe that pivoting back to a single-player experience was the wrong call for Dragon Age: The Veilguard. After the release of Veilguard, BioWare was hit with layoffs in the name of restructuring, which is something, yes, we've all...
Where did we hear restructuring and reforming from? Was it literally 2 videos before this where we talked about Niji Sanji? Yeah.
So discuss.
That's crazy.
Ultimately, the point is, once again, the massive delusions and cope from all these people who have supported this game is just nuts. From the shills over on Reddit, and even shills over on YouTube and Twitch, to the EA executives themselves, and even delusions over at BioWare. For example, Corinne's departing statement, which said something like, "I'm so proud of the work that I've done at the company. I've put them on the right track." Many people...
How can you say that after your game bombed? Again, for an indie game to sell, I think it was like 1 million, 3 million copies is great, fantastic. For BioWare, that is absolutely unacceptable. Especially for the corpos, but that's besides the point.
Assessing the situation and coming to the conclusion that Corinne did not actually willingly leave the company and instead was part of the layoffs that occurred about a week after Corinne's statement, which, by the way, you can see is here on screen. Here's the parts that I actually want to highlight. "I did what I set out to do at BioWare. This is to come in and help right the ship. The chance to return the game to a proper quality single-player RPG was the privilege of a lifetime. We as a team did it, and it was hard. It took a toll on me. BioWare still has a lot of work to do culturally, but I do believe they are on the right footing now." I've read the full statement before. I'm just highlighting these bits of it now because looking back on this after the layoffs, I mean, actually pretty messed up.
Funny.
Like, Corinne's out here bragging.
BioWare still has a lot of work to do culturally. The game that published one of the best RPGs in the last, 20 years needs a lot of work culturally. We have to rewrite BioWare. We have to go back and rewrite Dragon Age, the original games, into something that we like now. Because it's not acceptable.
About the work that was so-called achieved, and then it's like, oh, by the way, less than 100 employees left, tons of people getting fired. But hey, Corinne says, we did it as a team. BioWare is really on the right footing now, guys. It's so wonderful. It's so great. Gets terminated. And then, of course, also calling the game a proper single-player RPG when it's referred to commonly as Veilguard. Game flopped.
Fart
Yeah.
guard.
Let me know what you think about
Fail
this
fart.
cope. Oh, it only failed because of the review bombs. Underperformed because of
Where's
review
the
bombs.
Russian bot
it only
thing?
failed because
I need to hear
of
this.
not being live service. And previously we saw takes such as, it only failed because the grifters on YouTube and the chuds on the internet, they made fun of this game so much that nobody wanted to buy it. You know, that whole Schrodinger's chud thing. Those chuds are simultaneously a loud, angry minority with no power, but also a large group of people with enough power to take down AAA games and entire companies.
That's what I can't stand. The whole, oh, well, you know, the chuds are assembling, but also they have no power here, and we're gonna make video games to own them. Okay.
Which, like I said before, just makes the
People just
chuds
won't buy 'em.
sound based. These people mad at chuds want to LARP as if they're like revolutionaries, but then they get mad at people that are actually destroying the corrupt corporations out there. And finally, as is tradition with Veilguard coverage here on the channel, we'll hop back over to the Dragon Age Veilguard subreddit and take a look at some more hilariously
see
out of
the
touch
Russian
cope from the
chuds.
modern audience. Returning to the post about the news from EA that we just read, and that comment saying, such ignorant hubris, review bombing is why it's underperformed, we can see a number of comments that were removed by the moderators.
Whoa! A Reddit mob was here, huh? What happened?
And also a number of comments that got massively downvoted by the shills. This is particularly interesting because over the last few days,
And this is why I hate Reddit. You get down-duted, nobody can see it.
or so, it did look like the
You're not even allowed to have an opinion. You just get down-duted.
censorship on the Veilguard subreddit was becoming less than it was before. Now we can see that they're returning to their old ways and just like downvoting posts that criticize the game and point out bad takes, and or massively downvote them, which there seems to be an extra shred of irony about them mass downvoting comments that they don't like on a comment that talks about review bombing. So let's take a look at some of the downvoted comments that the Veilguard shills don't like, responding to the claim about the game only failed because of review bombing or whatever.
Russian bots,
For example,
Russian
this
bots.
one that
Where's the
says,
Russian bots?
the game being bad was why it underperformed. Those that like it are not wrong for liking it, but more people seem to not enjoy it. And that got minus 23 downvotes. Someone says, what was bad? Just saying bad in a review or woke doesn't help. What really was bad
He didn't even say woke. He just said it was bad.
about it? Review should be constructive, not demolishing. A different user saying, if you wanted to take the time, you could easily find some very in-depth and constructive reviews. But generally people had issues with the writing, the tone, character development, simplified gameplay mechanics.
I bet you if I went and found the reviews right here where the massive essayings, they probably don't include the word woke or any sort of political inflection. I bet you I wouldn't be able to find one. I find one or two, obviously, because you can cherry pick, but the ones that are very in-depth, like, I don't know if you can write 10, 15 paragraphs about wokeism in a review after spending 119 hours playing the game.
Basically the complete absence of RPG mechanics, just to name a few. That person also getting a minus 3 downvotes. There was another user who refuted the claim about the review bombing
There it is.
thing, and they got this insane response.
Yes!
It reads, incels who had their brains rotted by Russian propaganda on the
Oh my fucking god. Yes! Yes, it's the fucking Russians in the forums on Reddit. Asmongold is a Russian propaganda asset. Yes! I knew it! I knew it! I've had a feeling in my bones. That's why I like Asmongold so much. He's a Russian propagandist. It's my fault too, yes! Oh, the Russian incels! Chat, you would be surprised at how little and how bad Russian people speak English. I don't think that they're able to do this. I can say this, by the way, because I have family that is from that area. But, like, just thinking about the logistics of having that many people, quote-unquote, down voting and shitting on the game and being so eloquent about it. Yeah, like, I can't, man. Are we Russian incels? Yes. Yes. Yep. You're the problem, chat. You consuming my content, you're automatically becoming a Russian propaganda consumer.
internet literally brought fascism to America.
Disgusting.
You don't think a good game could suffer because of the same thing?
And it's funny because then these people say that they're being influenced by Russian propaganda, but they don't even realize that America and every other country also has propaganda. They just think it's one side, but they have no self-reflection to realize that every country engages in propaganda because they're so stupid.
Lol. So
That's
according to
the
this
point.
person, Veilguard failed because of Russian propaganda and
Yes.
fascism and
Bots.
incels, and that this stuff also led to the game getting review bombed and failing. Response to them with -9 downvotes says, continue to bury your head in the sand. Reasonable people are all over the subreddits giving genuine criticism of this game and its inability to engage them. If you like the game, that's fine, but you are in an echo chamber refusing to acknowledge that people don't like the game. And to expand on what this person said, he's referring to other subreddits like the BioWare subreddit or various gaming subreddits in general, in which, as mentioned, yes, there's plenty of genuine criticism about the game. The Veilguard subreddit is just full of insane people with no self-awareness, and that's enough of their insanity for this.
It's just mind-blowing to me that people can make the excuse that to say that an entire country dedicates itself to this slop. Like, there's like war tactics, military budgets, and you think they would take the time and the effort to shit on a game that has zero influence on anything outside of the video gaming sphere? You really think that pipeline goes back to, like, loving Russia or something? Or going back to loving Putin? Like, bro, you are actually... Like, take your fucking medication. We used to put people like that in asylums.
Video. Hope you found this amusing, though. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing, and let me know what you think about all the stuff in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.
Were people saying Wukong doing well was just Chinese propaganda as well? Yes, but this is also, like, I can understand the connection between Wukong and, because it was made by a Chinese company and had ties to mainland China. I understand that from a logistical perspective. How do you relate Dragon Age the Veilguard, made by BioWare, an American company, being somehow downvoted by multiple people, by people who are born and bred Americans, being propagandists for the quote-unquote opposing team that you were born and bred to not like? It's sad. I don't know. You don't get it a lot. If Veilguard succeeded, America would have had won the race to the moon. Yep. I'm sorry, chat. You had to find out this way. Russians don't give a shit about your video game. Chat, Russia has enough problems in itself. Russian people have enough problems, okay? Leave them the fuck alone, bro. People just want to live their lives and they act like everyone is, like, involved in, like, political warfare. They're not, man. They're just people just like you. Does that mean that every time that you are called an American means that you have some sort of political involvement? Because you watch VTubers? Yeah. Nobody cares. Like, period. No one cares about a failed game from BioWare. Only Americans and the privileged do. Most Russians just want to play a video game. They play CSGO, they play Dota, and they just play video games and go to work. Good lord, man. So bizarre. Anyway, go check them out, Hero Hey. Glad we got to the Russian bot part. That was funny.